Welcome to City Council. Sorry, we're a few minutes slow. Just the mayor trying to get his ducks in a row. Anyway, appreciate you being here. We've got full council here and our city manager and city attorney here, and we will begin with a few things that are not on the agenda. We'll start with an invocation. We have, let's see, Tom. Is it Fiske? Fisk. And with the Grace Episcopal Church here, who will lead us in an invocation, and then we'll talk about the Pledge of Allegiance after that. Welcome.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm relatively new to St. George, and I hope to be here for a long time. I'm honored here to offer a prayer for my new city council members.
Excellent. Thank you.
Let us pray. Almighty God, our Heavenly Father, send down upon those who hold office in this city of St. George, to Betty, to Jimmy, to Michelle, to Joe, and to Ed, and especially to John, our mayor, the spirit of wisdom, charity, and justice, that with steadfast purpose they may faithfully serve in their offices to promote the well-being of all people who live in this fair city, through Jesus Christ our Lord. Amen.
Thank you so much.
You're
I
welcome.
can't tell you how nice it is to have people pray for you, and by name. Thank you, Tom.
You're welcome.
Appreciate that. And we appreciate all that Grace Episcopal Church does and has done for our community. Jimmy knows something about that through, the food, Switch Point and the soup kitchen that's been there for years. Thank you for everything you do. We appreciate the Interfaith Council and every week in our meetings having someone come from a different faith group and offer an invocation or a thought. So appreciate it very much. Now, thank you so much. Now we have the Pledge of Allegiance. I'd like to invite McKay Clove, who's a senior at Dixie High School. He's here on assignment from Mrs. Ellen Stuckey from the government class. And I'm going to speak to the class one of these days soon. So we're going to ask him to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Okay?
Would you all rise and repeat after me the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You may be seated.
That was perfect, McKay. Thank you. I'll tell Mrs. Stuckey you deserve extra credit, okay? Paul, good to have you here too. We also have a really good-looking young man over in that corner by the name of Quentin Hughes. Quentin, you look like someone to me. You look a lot like this guy on my right. Nice to have you here. I know he's probably not going to stay the whole time, but nice to come see what Dad does on Thursday nights. I promise you, he's almost always here. If he's not here, he's probably working somewhere else. So nice to have you here. And we have Betty. Ariel, would you introduce your granddaughter?
Oh, I would love to. This is Fiona Fackrell, and she actually likes these meetings. She'll say, "Grandma, can I go to the city council?" So anyway, happy to bring her every now and then.
We welcome our friends and loved ones, and once in a while they get to come sit with us. So a couple other things I'd just like to quickly mention. We have a gentleman, a good friend of ours, Tony, who usually is here on this Thursday, and he requires ASL interpreters. I don't believe is going to be able to be here, is kind of what we'd learned. And so is there anyone else here today that would need American Sign Language interpretation tonight? Okay, seeing none, you're free to stay, you're free to go, and we appreciate the service that you offer. Thank you so much. All right, also, just want to thank our deputy recorder for being here today. Annette, we have learned about your mother's passing, and we just want to express our love for you and our condolences. And this is above and beyond for you to be here tonight. Thank you for filling in. for Christina tonight. Anything else? We just learned of what sounds to be kind of a tragic accident over on Dixie Drive, and we wish a young man, I believe it is, the best auto pedestrian accident. So we're hoping for the best, but it sounded serious. So be careful, folks. We have a lot of people in town, of course, for this week and this April spring break / Easter time of year. We just hope everyone will be careful on scooters, on bikes, on foot. I think this one was on foot, and in our cars. We can just take it easy a little bit and enjoy the beautiful weather and be safe. Adam, am I missing anything else before we go to a few proclamations?
Nope.
Okay. All right. Well, let's see, folks. We have a couple of really fun things that we get to do today. I'd like to start with a proclamation that I have before me for a really neat man that I'm not sure how many of you know. We've been fortunate to have in our community for some time now. His name is Ed Hlavka. Did I say it okay, Ed? And Ed's someone I met, Steve, what's it been? Probably about 17, 18 years, something like that ago. But let me just read this. I think it'd be fun for you to know a little bit more about Ed. Whereas born in 1964 in Sturgis, South Dakota, Edward E. Hlavka began pinching clay and developing an interest in sculpture at a young age. And whereas in grade school, Ed was featured in the South Dakota Outstanding Young Artist Exhibition. And whereas in 1982, 1983, Ed attended the College of Art and Design in Minneapolis for sculpture, and soon after apprenticed with sculptor George Lundeen. And whereas Ed's unique ability to portray characterizations delight the many people across the country and here in southern Utah who view and collect his art. And, you may not know this part, whereas Ed's monumental commissions of note include being the only American sculptor with a major work for the Smithsonian Institute's National Museum of the American Indian and the United States Capitol Building in the National Statuary Hall collection. Some of you have been to Statuary Hall in the Capitol. Probably most of us have. Whereas Washington County is home to several of Ed's pieces, including The Storyteller at the Washington County Library, Brigham Young on Main Street in our city plaza there, right near Zions Bank. Tribute to medical pioneers at the main entrance at Dixie Regional Medical Center. Steve Wilson might have had something to do with that one, commissioning that. The Mustangs at the Ivins City Roundabout. You all have seen those. Those are Ed's. And there are probably more that we haven't even listed here. And whereas Ed is an elected member of the National Sculpture Society, and whereas Ed has called the St. George area his home for over 25 years, I think it's more like 26, contributing greatly to the community reputation as a growing center of the arts. And I'm going to add, he helped us also with getting going the Art Around the Corner. And so he's been instrumental in so many ways. Now, therefore, I, Jonathan T. Pike, Mayor of the City of St. George, do hereby join with community members in proclaiming today, Thursday the 18th of April 2019, as Edward E. Hlavka Day. You have your own day. So, in witness whereof, I'm now going to sign this, and then, if you would, I'll come present it to you, and just love for you to say a couple things. Would you do that, Ed? Okay. So hang on.
Would we be able to take that, Mayor, for a free dinner tonight?
I'm sure you could. Yeah. They have a mean chicken fried steak. Come here, and what we'll do, we'll hold this, and Mark's going to take a picture, and Kathy Wilson is too, I think. So let's do that. Maybe, yeah, you hold it with me. We're both new to this, right? Yeah, here we go. So, we would love to hear a few words from you, and maybe from Steve Wilson, too. So you take it, and speaking of this,
Okay.
you'll be facing them, but
All right.
they'll see you in TV land if you face this way.
All right, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. Well, thank you very much. It's such an honor. I wasn't expecting that, any of this actually, so it's a pleasure to be here today. St. George gave, as a young sculptor heading out, you can only hope, that you're going to have some of the success that I've achieved here. St. George is, I couldn't have ever possibly have dreamt that St. George would make that all happen for me. Everything I had set out to do up to this point, I've been able to accomplish here with these fine people in this community. It's been overwhelmingly kind and generous with me and my family both. And it's just been a dream come true to be able to excel at the way I have. And I'm not sure if it would have happened anyplace else. I don't think it would have. I think this was the spot. This and in this great country of ours, you can do anything you want to do. I came out of a small mining hills town in the Dakotas, South Dakota, and to get to where we've been, it's hard to believe. But it was with the help of a lot of good people from this area in particular that were just like family to me. Just been so kind and generous with me, and made it all possible. And it's a wonderful place to be, and I can't thank you enough for everything, everybody. Thank you so much.
Well, Ed, thanks for making it a more beautiful place and to give us more things to talk about. Because that's what I love about art, the chance to talk about it. It starts conversations and helps us get to know each other in a different way. So, Steve, do you have a few comments? Steve Wilson is who introduced me to Ed a number of years ago, and kind of he was the conspirator here to help me as we did this. So, Steve, you want to say a few things?
Just a couple of things. I appreciate that I know all of you. You may not recognize me.
You just got your haircut
got
the
a
other day.
haircut
Yeah,
yesterday.
yeah.
And just so I could come to this meeting and look presentable. But regardless what anybody says, chemotherapy is not a spa treatment.
No.
But
Congratulations, Steve, on doing
Thank
what
you.
you've been going through what you've done.
I just am inspired by people who have rare talent. And as the mayor mentioned, we were introduced to Ed by Eldine Trueblood, another name from our art community, several years ago, suggesting that the hospital main entrance needed a unique piece of art. And Ed came into my life at that point, and it was a pleasure to watch him create. A few weeks ago, I heard a rumor that Ed may be leaving our community, which is not true. But when I
Excellent.
heard that, I thought with all of the art that he has created and all that he's done to further the reputation of St. George as a hub for art, and I think it's befitting that we have the art festival this Saturday. It just occurred to me that somebody ought to do something. And then the next thought was, Steve, you're somebody. So I called the mayor. I just think that oftentimes we don't take time to recognize people when they're in our presence for the contributions that they've made, and sometimes it becomes too late. So I'm excited actually to buy dinner tonight for the Ed Holofka Day.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Well, you got to celebrate,
Absolutely.
Ed Holofka Day.
Absolutely. And we kind of look like twins now.
You kind of
too.
do, yeah. Yeah, brothers from another mother.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much again. Congratulations. I have one other thing for you that I'm going to go get, but I'm going to ask Michelle Randall if she would read a proclamation on Arbor Day.
I will. And you're both inspiring to us all. And Steve, you've had a lot of us praying for you, so continued prayers for your health. So, whereas in 1872, Sterling J. Morton proposed to the Nebraska Board of Agriculture that a special day be set aside for the planting of trees, and whereas this holiday, called Arbor Day, was first observed with the planting of more than 1 million trees in Nebraska, and whereas Arbor Day is now observed throughout the nation and the world, and whereas the City of St. George recognizes the contributions a healthy community forest has to clean the air and water, reduce storm runoff, enhance energy conservation, improve public health and safety, and provide habitat for wildlife. And whereas trees in our city increase property value, enhance the economic vitality of business areas and beauty of our community, and whereas the City of St. George has now been recognized as a Tree City USA for the past 24 consecutive years by the National Day Arbor Foundation, and whereas the City of St. George is committed to plant at least 500 new trees each year to renew its urban forest, now Jonathan T. Pike, Mayor of St. George, hereby proclaims April 26th as Arbor Day in the City of St. George. And Arbor Day this year will be held April 27th, that's Saturday, the 27th, and they'll be planting trees at the old cemetery, so on 700 East and Tabernacle. So everybody is welcome to attend and help plant trees at the old cemetery, and hope to see you there.
I think you said 9 a.m., right?
Yep, 9 a.m.
Perfect. If you can, bring your own shovel, but they'll have
Yeah.
some there as well. So thank you, Michelle. Yeah, or I'll bring one for you, Joe. I failed to bring it in with me. Just wanted to let you all know that I felt like Ed Hlavka needed a key to the city. So we just presented him with a key to the city that I told him we'll get him in any door. If it works, let me know. Anyway, thanks so much again, Ed. And, yes, Ed.
Now, Ed, I want to ask you questions. You hail from Sturgis. Is there a motorcycle anywhere in this art coming out here? Well, we've had guitars, we've had spiders, you know.
I don't have one.
Well, you sure appreciate what you put out here. It's beautiful stuff. Beautiful art.
Thank you, Ed. Appreciate your comments. And yeah, and again, go have dinner. Make sure Steve and Kathy pay. And if you tell them to put it on the mayor's tab, they'll see he's not good for it. So it's better that Steve's paying. Thanks, Steve. See you all. I'd like to read another one that just goes nicely on the heels of Arbor Day. And we have some good folks here to receive this proclamation from the the Daughters of the American Revolution. Correct? Get that close? Okay. Okay. Excellent. Thank you. Whereas humankind is facing tremendous global challenges, and whereas all people of this earth from all walks of life have a right to a healthy environment, and whereas protecting our species is crucial to the survival of this planet and its inhabitants, and whereas it is understood that sustainability will only be achieved by meeting the needs of the present without compromising the needs of the future generations, and whereas it is more important than ever to cooperate internationally and defend the environmental progress that has been heretofore gained, and whereas Earth Day is an annual reminder of the constant need for environmental activism, stewardship, and sustainability efforts. Now, therefore, I, Jonathan T. Pike, Mayor of the City of St. George, do hereby join with community members in proclaiming Thursday, April 22nd, 2019 as Earth Day. So, and again, I think this is something that in one way or another we can all rally around. We all want a good place to live today and for many, many, many generations in the future. So I have signed this already, and so if you'll come forward and I'll come down and present it to you, and any comments you'd like to make, we'd love to hear them. And let's get a picture. Mark will take a picture and you can share it on social media. Does that sound good? Yeah, everybody else does. That's right. Got it? Okay. All right. Feel free, say a few words and
Okay.
introduce each other again.
Okay,
We know you were here not too long ago, but that was totally different.
okay, wonderful.
Thank you.
Okay. Good afternoon, Mayor Pike and City Council. My name is Sue McElhaney, and I am the Conservation Chair of Color Country's Daughters of the American Revolution. Within 4 days, over 192 countries and over 1 billion people will be celebrating the 49th anniversary of Earth Day on April 22nd. This International Day promotes environmental awareness and promotes action to protect our planet. This movement was founded in 1970 by Senator Gaylord Nelson to encourage an awareness of air, water, and soil pollution. But over 6 decades earlier, the National Society of the Daughters of the American Revolution in 1909 had already started a recognition of protecting and preserving our nation's natural resources. From this recognition, a National Conservation Committee was formed. The mission of this committee is to educate members about these issues and to promote and encourage good stewardship practices for a more sustainable future. The committee continues today through our local chapters and includes the observance of Earth Day. We appreciate Mayor Pike and the City Council for joining us in this year's celebration. Thank you for helping us promote Earth Day in St. George, Utah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Or you want to introduce?
Just so you know who all is here with us today.
Perfect, yes.
We have Sue McElhaney, as she said. She is our conservation chair. I'm Valerie King, and I'm the regent of the Color Country chapter. And with us, we have Jan Warren and Julie Mullen. So thank you again. We were just here a couple of weeks ago.
And that was great, too.
And we're still welcomed, so that's great. So thank you.
Anytime. Thank you so much.
Appreciate it.
Yep. Okay, we have one other thing, pre-written agenda. Let's see, Brent Oakton from the Utah Local Governments Trust is here to, I think, maybe tell us, maybe it's an attaboy, an attagirl, right?
It's close to an attaboy.
Yeah, okay.
Thanks for the opportunity to be here. I'm Brent Okeson with the Trust. For those that don't know, the Trust is the insurance mutual that provides insurance products to St. George City, and we're glad to partner with you guys in these things. For the second year in a row, St. George City has taken part in a program that we have called the Trust Accountability Program. And what it is, it's all about loss prevention and risk management to prevent losses and claims at the city. And Annette Johnson and Sean Guzman and others here at the city have done a great job this last year to put these programs in place and make a difference for everybody here in the city. And with that, there's a lot of things that go into that. One is managing the employee injuries, making sure they get back to work on time, looking at the drivers of vehicles, making sure they have good MVR records, having safety committees, and managing things to prevent losses of any kind at the city. And they've done a great job with that. And so with that, I'm here again this year to present another award to the city for 2018 for taking part in this program. And so a couple nice things that come with this. One is you get this awesome award that you can share. The other thing is we send a check out for 5% of your liability premium as part of completing this program, and that came to $5,455.45. And being that you've done this now 2 years in a row, you get it qualifies you for a 3% discount on your work comp premium as well. So there's good discounts, there's some good savings there from doing this, and we just appreciate your partnership because it really does make a difference for everybody. So thank you very much. Congratulations, St. George City, for the TAP program for 2018.
Thank you, Brent.
Thank you.
And I wish Sean were in here because Sean and risk management are involved with this. Adam and I got this letter saying that this, and the check that indicated we'd achieved this level of excellence, I'd call it, and that's good. I'd love to see it repeating every year, and so we'll try to keep going. We appreciate the trust in terms of all that you do for us. You work very closely with us, and so we appreciate what you do. And again, this is citizens' money, so we really want to be as cost conscious, as safety conscious as we can. So thank you.
Very good. Thank you.
Adam, would you go and receive that? I think this is on behalf of you and all of the city employees that work to make this happen. Should be taking a picture of that. But photographer left. Thank you, Brent. Appreciate it.
You know, Mayor, since we're talking about safety awards, today we had the recognition for the linemen
That's right.
up on their energy department and all that they accomplished, and they received a state award for safety. And they were quite proud of it, and we were proud of it.
They should be,
And they're
yeah.
real contributors to this. What they do is dangerous work, and to have a safety award like that is quite meaningful.
It is. I agree. Thanks, Ed. Ed came and reminded me, I was on the radio this morning and came and reminded me to mention that it was Lineman Appreciation Day today. So that's the perfect day to celebrate their safety record as well.
Yeah. As it gets hotter, we're going to appreciate them even more.
Oh, yeah. All right.
Oh, you're talking about
Yeah.
that, Mayor.
Yeah.
They had a neat demonstration at our last little, what do we call that, open house?
Community.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
outside. The power department was there with their little demonstration, and I was amazed at how easily you can get electrocuted by a tree branch if you try to remove a tree branch from your power line. So just remember out there, stay away from those power lines. You can get electrocuted real easy.
Even if you're touching the tree branch, right?
Yes.
If it touches the
because that
line.
was my question to him, because I'd seen a tree branch laying on a power line. And I said, hey, can we just reach up there and pull that off? And they said, no. And they showed me a little demonstration where they took the tree limb and put it between the two live wires and watched it electrocute. So it was
You don't
pretty
want to
cool.
do that.
No, don't do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they had the demonstration with some hot dogs hanging there, and you didn't want to see what it did to the hot dogs.
kind of blew up,
Yeah.
didn't they?
Yeah,
Yeah.
they did. So don't do it.
Yeah, don't do it. Call us. We'll
Yeah.
take care of that. Adam, any changes to the agenda?
No changes, but I would make a suggestion when we get to item number 5, I would suggest that we follow that up with item 8.
Move
Since they're
that up right
related,
after.
We can move item 8 up. But other than that, no changes from what's printed tonight.
Okay. Very good. Then we'll begin with the consent calendar. Anything you'd like to say, Adam?
No, just that these 8 items, including the minutes, these are administrative in nature. Staff have reviewed each one of them. We find them to comply with our regulations and would recommend approval to the council as presented.
Council, any questions, any items that you on the consent calendar that you'd like to pull off and have further discussion on? Otherwise, I'd accept a motion.
I just make a recommend to acknowledge, Mayor, that item C, the Bear Claw Poppy Trailhead, that something very important is going to take place there. They're going to have some restrooms out there because
right.
those folks out in that area have been quite concerned about the need for the restrooms and how they're being used. So that's really good.
Mayor, I'd like to move that we accept the consent calendar as presented.
Okay, we have a motion by Betty and a second by Joe to approve the items on the consent calendar. Any discussion? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
You know, I almost feel, Mayor, that I'd be remiss if I didn't acknowledge that item D, too, is the final engineering out there on Commerce so that we can have the roadway for our new fire station for those folks out in Little Valley that are anxious to have that fire station.
Exactly.
Certainly.
And so they'll be able to cross over into the Fort Pierce Industrial
Right.
Park and
That
vice
connect-
versa.
That connectivity is really great.
Yep. Adam, should we go on? Number 2?
So at item number 2, we have a number of amendments to the current fiscal year budget, and our budget manager, Deanna Buklasic, is here to present those to us. I feel like I should have added a superlative before Deanna's name because I really cannot say enough great things about the job she does for us. We're very lucky to have her.
Thank you, Deanna.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor and Council. So this is our third round of budget openings. We do them about every 3 months. The departments have gone through their budgets both in that we're 75% of the fiscal year, and they've also underwent all their budgeting for next year, and part of that process is to estimate where they'll finish up this year. And so it gives them a good opportunity to look into their budgets and kind of see where they need to amend the budgets at this point. Some of these budget openings are due to new grants or just some unforeseen projects that have come along the way. So I'm just going to go through them pretty quickly here. Number one is a new CCJJ. It's the Criminal Justice Grant. It's a state grant for $5,800 to purchase some tactical vest plates and pepper ball launchers for the police department. Number two is a high-intensity drug task force grant. It's a federal grant for $10,600 for the purchase of some additional surveillance equipment. Number three is for $125,000, and this is a 50% split with the water department. The total project is $250,000. This is to replace the pumps, one of the pump stations on the Southgate Golf Course. However, the water department also receives a benefit of that pump station, and so they're going to go ahead and split that cost. Number four is just to expand the decking on the Red Hills Clubhouse, the new clubhouse building. It's $16,000 just to expand that decking just a little bit more. Number five is...
Before you go on,
Sure.
Adam, any comments you'd make on that? Because I'm not sure if we really talked about that, but...
On the clubhouse, have
Yeah.
you had a chance to, I think most of you have seen, we've sent some images, and then I know several of you have been able to go out on site. It looks beautiful. As we were observing the construction and its progress, we felt like we were missing an opportunity, the way the plans had been designed, to really take advantage of some of the views, the way the deck was designed, and so we wanted to expand that just a little bit. We think that for the cost, we're really getting a great additional benefit, and we felt like it was worth moving forward on that, to add that to the plans.
The views are incredible, and this is going to take advantage of that. And it's not covered on this portion.
Correct.
But it's going to be gorgeous. And so, anyway, I just wanted to highlight that.
Yeah.
So
This also has a component of Wi-Fi in it as well
Okay.
for that facility. So number five is as you are aware, when the state did the Bluff Street widening project, we lost our digital sign there on St. George Boulevard and Bluff Street. And so this $37,800 is to replace that sign. And YESCO is also contributing a little bit more into that project. It would cost more, but I think they're contributing about $16,000 more. Is that right, Sean? I'm trying to recall that. Number six is for $150,000. This is just to increase our development services budget, their professional and technical fees. We do send out our commercial plan review from a third party, and as those reviews come in, we try to estimate what that'll be, but there have been more than we've anticipated this year. It's offset by revenues. It's basically a pass-through. The builders pay for that fee, and so as the demand increases, the revenues are there to fund that. Number seven is to increase our part-time wages and then some supplies and concessions for our pickleball program, and that is offset by additional fees and revenue as well. Just extra program participation, which is a good thing, and but it does increase some of our hard costs. Number eight is the Energy Services Department. They are doing their Flood Street substation project. However, with a lot of the added growth around the Dixie State University, the new student housing and so forth, they want to expand that project, and it is funded by impact fees. Number nine is, this is a project that we are assisting UAMPS with, and they are paying us 100%, but it's for a 69 kV line that is coming from the Purgatory area in Hurricane into St. George, and it benefits the whole system. So, but we are helping them out with the design, engineering, project management, and our crews will help install that line, and so they're reimbursing us 100% for materials, labor, and equipment. Number 10 is for, we're doing the city office, the building, police building, parking, dispatch center relocation projects. Will come before you in next year's budget. However, we're doing the design work right now. I did put down $172,000. I'm asking that we just amend that to $186,500 at this time. So that it would be funded by our capital project fund. Number 11 is for, to increase the professional and drainage, professional fees. Sorry, it's not professional drainage. Anyway, it's the professional fees in our Drainage Impact Fund. And this is to have some design done for a potential road realignment at 3000 East and the Mall Drive 1580 South area to try to lessen the traffic in that area, or realign that. It's for $65,000. Number 12 is for our capital project fund for Bluff Street widening betterments, and this is just where one of the property owners there asked to include some improvements in the project while we're there, that taking advantage of that economies of scales, and they'll pay us back 100%. So that's for $40,000. And then number 13 is, this is for phase 1 of the sale of the property at the old airport site to Tech Ridge. And this is an in-kind. They are reconstructing some of our roads, our utilities, and so forth up there that we would have to do ourselves. So this is an in-kind transfer, but we do have to recognize it, obviously, on the accounting statement. So we do need to budget for this transfer as well. Number 14, and that's for $2,109,000.
By the way, Tech Ridge Drive is open. If you saw that, it's open today, where they've had it under construction for a few months. So,
number 14 is basically a housekeeping item. When last year's budget was approved, we had $100,000 in there for funding some of the design for what some of us call the missing link, the trail system that goes from the Fossil Falls area over to the Mill Creek Generation Facility. It provides that. We had it in the Park Impact Fund. However, when we received the grants from UDOT and some funding from the county, and we put that in the RAP tax fund, this is just bringing it all together in one place. And that's for $100,000. Number 15 is just to increase the Crimson Ridge Park budget by $56,000, just to some additional work that was needed due to the type of grass in the irrigation system. Just some change orders there. Number 16 is similar to increase the Sunset Park Phase 2 expansion, and primarily some of the costs came in higher than our engineers' estimates for the playground shade structure and for the surfacing, the tile installations that go in the playground, and that is for $51,000. And both of those, item number 15 and 16, are funded by park impact fees. So.
Thank you. Questions, council, or comments on any of those 16 items?
You know, Mayor, these are all quite meaningful, and I just noticed on number 6, the professional and technical services on the third-party consultants for commercial, and it shows how much commercial is taking place in our city, and you know, the demands and the public's concern and the desire to have more commercial services. So this kind of just makes it move so much smoother when you have that third party.
As so many of these things are, it kind of just, they're all indicators of a robust development and economy here. And while I noticed, Adam, that we slipped to number 3 in the country in terms of our growth from number 1, we're now number 3. And when one of the newspapers called me about that, and how do you feel? I said, you know, I don't mind losing a couple slots there. They're still saying our growth is about 3.5% in the St. George metropolitan statistical area, which is really Washington County. So, you know, when you consider what that means about 6,000 net new people will join our community in the next year, roughly. That's a lot, and it's more than 10% of what will happen in the state. They'll gain about 50,000. We'll be 6,000 of that. So it's significant. It says we're busy, right, Deanna?
We are.
We're busy. Everyone's busy, and so we do need to. Some of these are outsourced because it's probably the right thing to do in a busy time. And we're seeing some signs of some, at least tapering off. The growth, I think, is still going to continue, but it's just not as fast. I don't mind that. I don't know about you, but I'm okay with that. So anyway, any other comments or questions before we make a motion, if you're so inclined to? Oh, we do need to do the public hearing first. But any other questions, council, or comments? Okay, then I'll open the public hearing. If there's anyone that would like to make a public comment, input, question on this item, which is number 2 on our agenda, regarding making some amendments to the fiscal year 2018-19 budget. Crickets? All right, then I'll close the public hearing and come back to you, council, now for a motion.
Mayor, I'll make a motion to approve the resolution to review to approve the amendments to the fiscal year 2018-19 budget, with number 10 being changed to $186,500.
Second.
Motion by Michelle with a second by Betty. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all in favor, starting with Ed, say aye.
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 That motion carries unanimously. Thank you. And again, thank you, Deanna and department heads and Adam, for putting that together.
Thank you.
3.
Item number 3 is consideration of a zone change, and we'll have Ray come and explain this one to us.
Item number 3 is consider approval of an ordinance amending the plan development commercial zone to develop a commercial building on Lot 5 of what's called the BGG Commercial Subdivision Center. And it's on about 0.71 acres, generally located southwest of the intersection of Riverside Drive and River Road. So this is the location that we're talking about that's outlined here. For reference, here's the post office, here's Riverside Drive, here's River Road. And this is just showing the general plan's commercial, and again, the zoning is planned development commercial. Basically, a building is proposed here, and they'd like to have a dance studio. And this shows the building. Green represents future landscape area, and then shows all of the improved parking here to the south of it and also to the north. The building, part of it is about 17'8", and the highest point is 9 feet 4 inches. This shows a little better feel for the type of landscaping that would be about it. You look at the termination here of the project, but there's existing parking here to the right side that I'm pointing at, and a driveway that comes through here that then goes the other project, MacArthur's Landing, and then out to River Road. And they have a new proposed driveway here to access. This shows the elevations of the building, and there's a lot of articulation, a lot of stonework. The color and materials board is either behind the mayor on the floor if you need to see it, or Councilwoman Randall. I put that up there, and that's the same thing that's shown on the screen here. I'm going to go quickly to the staff report itself. Again, this is for a new building, and Dr. Grant Carter is here over my left shoulder with his daughter, who would like to operate the facility as a dance facility. It's about 6,500 square foot building, and the Planning Commission does recommend approval. You probably noticed in your packets there were 2 letters of opposition, and one was a concern about having a dance studio there. It was talked about extensively at the Planning Commission. Actually, nobody stood up and spoke in opposition at the meeting. And then in the packet here also, I'm not going to read it, but I could kind of highlight it. There's a document recorded with the county recorder that amends the CC&Rs for that commercial subdivision that now adds the uses of dance, education, performance, and practicing, and also preschool education as 3 new items that are now uses for that commercial center. So as a formality, Planning Commission recommends approval and to list those uses, and the CC&Rs have been amended The doctor owns more than 50% of the buildings or the lots that are out there, and so that's how that occurred. I'm looking at page 3 of this report, and the Planning Commission does recommend approval. Number 1, the building, the conceptual building layout, the elevations, the colors, and materials are all recommended for approval. Number 2 talks about the use that I've just talked about and the changes to the CC&Rs. The city doesn't enforce CC&Rs, as you know, but it was an issue with the 2 letters that were received. They were citing that, and we felt at the Planning Commission that that was resolved. 3 is the landscaping, recommended to be approved. 4, they do a site plan review. 5, they'll meet setbacks. 6, to meet parking, which in all intents and purposes looks like it exceeds and meets. Lighting, they would do with a site plan review process. They'd take care of erosion protection, number 8. The height would be 29 feet 4. And then one thing I'm going to show you on the screen here in a moment, they talked about a temporary cul-de-sac. Again, they spent a lot of time wanting to mitigate any issues and concerns that came up with the letters. So this was not seen at Planning Commission. What's different is the area I'm pointing here. And the idea is that a lot of vehicles could come off Riverside, come down to this driveway, and this would provide more room for turnaround and exit to people who are going to the dance studio. And they felt that that would alleviate some of the travel here to the south. So that's just one change that was added, and we felt that that's a good improvement. That concludes staff's comments. Available to answer questions, and also the doctor and his daughter might like to answer your questions too about what their vision is.
Any questions, first of all, for Ray, council?
Ray, the big concern is of course, Riverside and River Road, all that traffic in there. And some of these activities that would be brought in by a dance studio, there would be after the closing of a lot of those medical facilities and a lot of those buildings. So you'd have adequate parking included in there, plus isn't there a road on the south side that would help alleviate some of that, and that Dr. Carter addressed. And so for those that are at home interested and worried about all of that, it seems like that types of activities that they might have after 5 or 6 o'clock, those buildings won't be occupied.
That was talked about quite a bit, pretty much as you've just outlined it, that the operation would be in the evening after the other businesses are closed, and that also, I'll let the doctor and his daughter, I'm sorry, I can't remember her name. But
Miranda.
Thank you. I think they said that there may be 6 to 8 cars at a time there, so it didn't sound like a large impact.
I don't think it's any more than any other business. I just don't think that's an issue we need to bring
And
up.
that's how the Planning Commission felt. So.
Any other questions for Ray? Okay, love to hear from the applicant, either or both, Miranda and Dr. Grant Carter.
Hi, Grant Carter here. My daughter Miranda, she runs the proposed dance studio, performing arts center maybe is a better word for it. But yeah, the building faces to the north, so that would be the natural entrance. As you can see, let's see, I can do this, can't I? Okay, so the building faces this direction, and we on purpose did that so that the people, it was going to be easier for people to come off Riverside, come in, turn around, and just go back out, trying to lessen the amount of traffic that goes through here. Because I believe, having been in this office for many years and watching people, in the morning drive down here, go around so they can get to this building over here, and then people in the evening, after they finish their business, they come out and they miss the traffic up here at the intersection. They come out and turn left here, and so we're just trying to minimize that. The hours are going to be typically, the high school students start what, at about 3:15, 3:30?
Yeah.
And why don't you just kind of explain to them what...
Yeah, so typically the earliest are just the older students that they get out of school a little bit earlier. They'll come around 3:15, but the majority of the classes do happen after that time, and the hours after that are when the students are coming and going in more of those evening hours. So we sometimes finish at 8 or even 9 p.m. at night.
Good timing as far as traffic goes.
Yeah, trying to, I think it's mean, it's probably not, an ideal, perhaps, I don't know, for a performing arts center, probably a pretty good place to put it, not right on the front road. And the traffic pattern should, be minimal effect during the day to the office buildings around it. So hopefully that'll fit in well.
And I do usually, even at the location that I'm at currently, we don't have a large amount of parking, but we do a parent meeting and I do a slideshow presentation and I direct my parents, this is the way that you enter and this is the way that you exit. And then only if they're parking and coming into the building, then we give them instructions that way as well. And sometimes we remind them throughout the year as well, just to keep them on track and keep that nice flow of traffic going. And so I intend to do that same thing as well. So.
Very good. Questions?
Dr. Carter?
Yes.
When I was at the Planning Commission, we talked a wee bit about the access that's at the back of that building for those people up in the other commercial. Is that going to be taken away?
No.
So they can still go through your parking lot?
Yeah. So there's,
No, I'm talking about, go to your left.
Okay.
Where you come off of Riverside.
Over here?
Yeah, then
Okay.
go clear down to the river.
Right down to here?
Okay, that is a road across there right now. It's
Right.
probably a driveway more than a road.
Yeah.
So that will still be there?
That will still be there. Yeah, we don't have any intention of doing anything with that. I think it fits well and mitigates some of the congestion around there, so.
Thank you, because that's
Yeah.
where I go to work, so.
Yeah. I think there's a lot of people here that have probably driven on that road.
Yep.
I have. Sometimes it's a little easier to get over there that way. So no, that's going to remain open. You can see it in the plan. I don't think anybody has any intention of blocking that. It should be even nicer. And first, we have the existing bike trail out here, and I think this will add to the beauty of that area as well. So.
Yeah, that parking there, because there's a lot of people parked just in the dirt right now to go use that trail.
They do. And there's going to be, we actually have excess parking for what we need for the building, especially during the daytime. They're just, these are going to be vacant because primarily the people are going to be parking up here and coming in until the evening. They can get access back here, but most of them are going to park up here.
Yeah, and then as that other lot 4 develops, there may be some parking that could be shared there.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it benefits the whole project. So
Good.
I think it should work out well.
I just think it's wonderful that we're doing dance in our St. George City, and I would be totally honored to make a motion. Are we ready? We don't need a public hearing,
we
do we?
don't need one. I just wanted to see if there happened to be anyone here that wanted to comment, because there were several that said they couldn't come to the Planning Commission. So just to kind of be fair, I thought, is there anyone here that would like to speak to this? I didn't see anyone. I know a few of the people that, sent emails, but, most of those issues are really not our issue, and the one issue that was raised in terms of the not allowing it in the area, again, not our issue. That was, an HOA or, issue which was already resolved, actually.
Right.
So.
Right.
So anyway, I think if there is no one here to speak to it, it doesn't appear there is. Betty, you're fine if you'd like to make a motion.
Okay, dance. I will move to approve an ordinance amending the PDC, Plan Development Commercial Zone, to develop a commercial building on Lot 5 of the BGG Commercial Center on approximately 0.71 acres, generally located southwest of the intersection of Riverside Drive and River Road.
Second.
So there's been a motion made by Betty and a second by Michelle. That would also be, just clarifying, approving the layout, the site plan, and the architectural design, materials, and colors board. The 2D elevations, colored 3D rendering, as has been presented.
Correct.
Yep.
And, okay, very good.
And our planner has just said that our engineer has confirmed that there is a cross-access agreement that exists across that property. So that drive will remain open for those that want to go to work and also dance.
And dance,
Yeah.
yes. They do
Stop
want
by
to
and
dance.
dance if you want to.
You can dance if you want to.
Mayor, do we allow dancing at
I don't
close to a
think we
post
allow
office?
that. No, everyone razzes us about that. We always allow dancing. So anyway.
Always love dance.
Yeah. Okay, we do have a motion and a second. We're both clarified to include everything listed. Any other discussion? All in favor, starting with Betty this time, say aye.
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 Motion carries unanimously. Good
Miranda,
luck.
Miranda and I have danced for a long time since she was a child.
That's great. Thank you very much.
There's dance in this town.
That's really shaping up to be quite a nice park there, Grant. Yeah, it's very nice. Yeah. Thank you. Good luck, Miranda. Okay, number 4, I believe.
Okay, yes, number 4, this is to consider an ordinance changing the zone from RE 37.5, that's the residential estates with minimum lot size of 37.5 square feet, to A1 agricultural with minimum lot size is 40,000 square feet. This is located generally on 3670 South and east of Bentley Road, and there are 4.27 acres with this development. This is the general location. This is showing the general plan, which is rural residential, and the zoning. As you can see, there's actually a lot of A1 that surrounds this property. So it does meet both the general plan and the zoning, or it will fit in with what's already there. This is showing where it's going to be. It's going to be right here, and as I mentioned, we've got A1 that's all the way around it. There will be about 4 lots that will be developed with this development if the zoning is approved. This was presented to the Planning Commission. They recommended approval. Staff recommends approval. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
Questions for Carol?
So basically, too, Carol, this is kind of an animal rights. By doing this, you'd have the opportunity to have from 3 to 4 to 12 animals per acre.
Right, you can
So-
have, yes,
So
yes.
that'll
That's the
satisfy those
benefit.
folks down
Yes.
in Little Valley, Jimmy. They can have more animals out there.
I think you can also sell the things you grow and stuff
Right.
like that. It's just-
Yeah, there's a few, yes, there's some advantages if you do have a larger lot to go to A1. So, yeah.
I don't know, Jimmy might be concerned about this one.
This doesn't happen very often. I like it.
It doesn't.
I'll go ahead and make a motion if you're ready, that we go ahead and approve the ordinance changing the zone from RE 37.5 to A1 on the area located near 3070 South Street and east of Bentley Road.
Second. Motion by Jimmy with a second by Joe. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all in favor, starting with Ed this time, say aye.
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 Motion carries unanimously.
Okay, item number 5, this is to consider approval of an ordinance amending the Desert Color Phase 1 PDR zone. Actually, there's a T and Z that's supposed to be on there as well. For a resort/amenity space generally located east of I-15 and south of Southern Parkway and west of Desert Color Parkway. The entire area for this amendment is 17.11 acres. Here's just an aerial of the general location. Let me go to the next. This is, I'm not sure what, wait a minute. Oh boy, I've got the wrong one. I've got the phases 2 and 3 on here. Let me go to see if I've still got my planning commission on here. I don't. Okay, I don't have any. What I can show you is this, unless someone who wants to go and get it for me.
Yeah, we can see it.
Okay. I do have something.
It's a really funky shape.
You know, while she's trying to locate that, Mayor, this appears to be the first commercial step that's taking place out there, and the acreage that involved this particular one is total out there is 190 acres, but this is the first step to be able to provide commercial shopping out there for those folks that are moving into that particular area.
That's right. There's, it's really kind of the resort space, and it's got, well, you can see on your agenda what it lists, but the first of the lagoon, I guess.
Right,
And
yeah.
which, I don't know, looks pretty blue, pretty turquoise blue, doesn't it? Pretty good for brackish water.
There may be sharks in that water.
Yeah.
Well, we just almost had it, but it disappeared. But let me show you something, since you came.
Since we came all this way.
Yeah.
Whoa.
This is really cool.
That's something cool.
This is really, and I apologize, I don't know what happened. We've got the Desert Color Resort Phase 1 and Phase 2 and 3, and I accidentally put on the Phase 2 and 3 and didn't double check it. Okay, so.
You'll be back.
Yes. Let me back up here. Okay. This is just kind of showing what the space will be like. Hold on a second here and I'll get back to the front. Okay, so this is Lagoon Parkway is here to the front, and then there will be a circle drive where you can get dropped off here at the resort or the clubhouse. Inside the clubhouse, they'll have basically a check-in area for the lagoon. And they will also have a locker room. There will be a little grill that will be back in this area. And then they'll have like a little sweet shop that will be here. Everyone that goes into, everyone that will be eating at the little grill here, they will have to have a membership. So this will be for the residents of Desert Color. So it won't be open to the general public except for this little sweet shop here. They'll have an entrance right off of the Circle Drive. So they will give that opportunity for anybody to go in there. The lagoon, as you can see, kind of circling around, there's plenty of room for seating. The Auburn Hills subdivision that you have already approved the first phase of that, they will have access to this pool here and the clubhouse. They actually are going to get their own pool, but they don't have that. They want to put this one in first. So they'll have access to this one until they get their own pool, and then they will move over. Now let me go to, so you can see kind of a wider, I've got another one here. Okay. This is kind of showing the bigger picture. Now the lagoon will actually be for the residents that live over here in the resort area, and we'll be seeing that in Phase 2 and 3. But the lagoon is going to be over 2 acres of water. It'll be saltwater, swimmable. There will be plenty of room to kind of go around the lagoon and walk around, and there'll be little boardwalks. Let's see, this did go to the Planning Commission. They did recommend approval. There were some conditions to make sure that the parking design, the parking lot, and also the lighting met the requirements in the zone plan. As they have it shown, it does. Unfortunately, we don't have anything for a lagoon in our parking regs. So the developer actually came up with a plan for parking, and staff felt good about the plan. They actually have 103 spaces in the parking lot. The parking lot is right there. It's moving too fast, but it's right over there. So there will be there will be more parking coming up in the future, and there will be parking also within this first resort neighborhood that you will be seeing here in the future, that Phase 2 and 3. So that's what I have. I apologize again for not having the right information. Oh, I do want to mention too, the building height will be 40 feet. They are allowed to do 50 feet, so they're okay on their height. It'll be kind of the Spanish style desert modern, the desert modern style kind of mixed with the Spanish style with white stucco. There is a board right here that has the materials. Other than that, if I didn't cover everything, let me know and I can answer your questions.
Questions, Council? Yeah.
I do. Could you just clarify the not private?
Yes.
I think the public might be confused. That would
Yes.
be really fun to go to.
Yes.
Take your kids, but when you get there
Yes.
and they say, oh, sorry, you have to be a member, that could be a real downer.
Yes, I will. To begin with, there will be 4 lagoons within Desert Color, and There might be one. They're assuming that the next one probably will be able to be visited by general public. But for right now, this first one they're putting in is just for the residents that live in Desert Color within this. I believe if you live in Desert Color in any neighborhood, you can pay an extra fee to get into the lagoon. Or if you live in the neighborhood that will be adjoining this lagoon, you don't have to pay the extra fee. It's already included. The general public, if you'd like to come and go into one of their lagoons, they do have a one that's quite a bit larger that I believe will be in their next phase. And that, the way I understand it, and we can let the applicant speak to that, but general public, they'd like to make that open to general public.
And that would still be for a fee, as I understand it?
Yes,
Yes.
yes.
Okay.
Any other questions before we hear from the applicant? Okay. Thank you, Carol.
Thank you.
Would the applicant like to make any comments or answer any questions?
Bob Hermanson with Bush and Gudgel representing Desert Color this evening. Really appreciate you guys' time and consideration. Sorry this thing is kind of speeding around on us here. It's making me dizzy. But I think Carol did a great job going through this. And yeah, so this evening we're looking at our clubhouse, which will be in our first resort area. There we'll have the pool and also the lagoon. And then we've actually got plans that have been submitted and coming through for our resort lots that are here on this side, which is the east side of the lagoon, that you'll see here. We've already submitted them. We'll be coming to you guys here in the very near future, here in the next 2 weeks or so, as well. Addressing some of the comments, this lagoon is private to Desert Color. All of it is. It is available for all of the residents in Desert Color, as well as the clubhouse. As Desert Color builds out, there will be specific amenity areas for each neighborhood, but as of right now, obviously, they're not in, but they will be. And as we've promised our builders and everybody we've been involved with, is the intent is to bring the amenities forward on the front end rather than waiting till the back end when we already have rooftops and people wondering if they're going to come on. Is that they've decided to come on the front end and make this facility now, and thinking that it'll build value and energy and really put an earmark here on Desert Color as well, and let them come in and check it out. So is there any other comments? I wasn't sure if there was some specific comments other than those, or?
Oh, Bob, just so that the public will know that out of the 190 acres that are going to be commercial out there, some of that space will be open to the public.
Oh, for sure. So all of the commercial area?
So we can elaborate or articulate for the public so that they'll know that they're going to have some access to some commercial.
Yeah, so all of the commercial, which this is actually, it's actually just across the wash from here, was all just public, right? It's just public commercial area, wide open. They're diligently seeking tenants. They have a couple of partnerships that they've worked out, and they are firms looking for, very diligently looking for all manner of folks to come in there and have their businesses there. It should be a great consolidated area to really centralize the experience and the shopping and the outdoor entertainment and all those things.
Great, thank you.
Yep.
Any other questions for Bob? Okay, thank you very much. This does not require a public hearing, but is there anyone here who would like to speak to this? All right, seeing none, council, if you don't have any other questions, be ready for a motion.
I'll make a motion to amend the ordinance for the Desert Color Phase 1 PDR. PDR zone for a resort space amenity center generally located east of I-15 on the Southern Parkway and west of Desert Color Parkway.
Second.
Motion by Michelle and a second by Ed. Any questions on the motion? It's basically we're approving what's been presented with those conditions, correct? Any questions, comments? Seeing none, all in favor of the motion, starting with Betty this time, say aye.
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 That motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Thanks to our staff and
Now
to
number 8.
the applicant. Oh yeah, let's go to 8 as Adam suggested. This is the preliminary plat for the same.
I did the same thing as Carol and thought it was phases 2 and 3.
Getting ahead of us, huh?
Yes, I am, because
Just go for it, huh?
I don't have the diagram. I brought phases 2 and 3, so sorry about that. But the request is a preliminary plat for
We have it.
for Desert Color Resort. It's for a 5-lot commercial, so they'll have 5 lots. 3 of them will be what they call civic space lots. That would be the lagoon, the clubhouse, and the pool. And then the other 2, I believe, are commercial, aren't they? The parking lot, and then they have a piece that they are looking at probably making that a commercial lot as well. So it's just a 5-lot preliminary plat that mirrors what Carol showed you.
Council, you do have this on your, either in hard copy or digital. Any questions?
I don't know if you're ready for a motion. I'll
Sure.
make a motion to approve the preliminary, I hate saying that word every time. Preliminary plat for Desert Color Resort Phase 1.
Second. Motion by Michelle, with a second by Joe. Any discussion? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. All right, we're done for today, Bob. All right.
The shape of that, they should have called it Phase 3.
Yeah. it
Looks
does
like a
look
3.
three.
Yeah.
You know, it seemed like a long time coming, Mayor, but all of a sudden, here it is.
That's right. They're getting serious about it, aren't they?
Boy, they really are.
Yep. All right, Ray. This
All
is
right.
number, back to number 6.
Number 6. Consider approval of a building design conceptual site plan to allow development of commercial building number 300 in the Commerce Point Commercial Subdivision. And this is generally located at the intersection of Black Ridge Drive and Bluff Street. So here's a vicinity map. Here's the I-15 freeway. Here's Bluff Street. Black Ridge is here. This is an older photo, but the new Maverick is right here off Bluff. And generally where the X marks the spot is where we'll be talking about. Zoning is shown here at C2. And here's a conceptual plan for the entire area. None of these buildings exist in white, but where the arrow's pointing, this is what's proposed tonight, is building 300. And as part of that phase 1, I kind of roughly outline it. The paved parking in here is also being proposed, and then access driveway here and here. So the idea is that the buildings come in, you've got supported parking, and in the future, different applications that you'll see will be for a building here, which I believe will be fast food, and another building here and here, and then at some point in the future, this other part will come in. So here shows the building 300, the overall site. Again, phase 1 is basically in here. And the landscape conceptual plan is shown. This shows the front elevation. I'll get to the materials and color boards, but just to mention to council that that's also behind you where you're sitting down there on the floor. And you might see a funny little white object, which is a scale model 3D rendering of the building itself. There's a few little changes that I'll try to highlight. The mayor's holding that. And then here, this shows the front elevation of the building. Got a lot of articulation going on, a lot of varied roofs. Looks like a real interesting design and building. And this shows you a better view, a little three-dimensional view of it, a rendering. So you can see the metal, the stonework, the synthetic stucco. And the Planning Commission did like the design, particularly the front. There was some discussion on the back, and I'll get to that in just a moment. This shows the right side elevation, and there's a canopy over the doorway. Again, a lot of columns, so there's a lot of breakup to make it interesting. And then the left side, very similar. This shows the rear. This is a rendering that the council seen, the Planning Commission didn't see. And what's different is they've put some more columns along here to break it up, and then they've added all of this wainscot that's the same material that's proposed on the sides and the front to make it more interesting to view. And then again, a rear elevation. The preceding was kind of a rendering of it, but you can see they've got columns. You do have the varied roof architecture, so it's not just one big box you're looking at. They've made it interesting, and then with the little canopies that go over each door. The height is approximately 28 feet, as shown here. And the materials, I won't read each of these, but you can kind of see, I'll kind of just touch on a little bit. All of this area 1 is synthetic-based stucco, and then number 2 is horizontal siding, and it gives detail on that. 3, vertical siding, gives detail. 4, which you saw, I call the wainscot, goes around the building. That's a split-faced masonry brick. And anyways, those are there for you. And the materials and colors board that supports that elevation and the details called out is behind the mayor there and Councilwoman Randall. So I'm going to go to the staff report. That pretty much is it. Planning Commission does recommend approval. They did want to see more added to the rear, is which I've kind of shown and talked to you about. This building has got about a 12,000 square foot footprint. When the entire complex is done, you add all the buildings that haven't come in yet, haven't been proposed, council will see in the future, you'll end up with about 130,000 square feet. And this particular building that they're proposing tonight, building 300 here, it's to be determined by tenant improvements, but it'll probably be broken up into 6 or 8 suites. So you can see that depending on the market demand, there'll be a lot of different businesses that will be in here. And that'll be a combination of some restaurant and then retail. I won't read it all now because of time, but on page 2 in your packet, it shows a breakdown of retail space and restaurant space and the calculations for parking. And then it also shows projections for the other future pads. And the bottom line is it appears to meet and exceed the requirements, and staff will look at that during site plan review process. There's a long section in here about the ordinance. On the bottom, page 2 goes into 3. Basically, that just says that a building design conceptual site plan application was required, and these are the things that you'll look at when you review it. The layout, you'll be looking at the driveways, the access, the maneuverability of it, the landscaping, the building facade, and building colors, things that you're used to looking at. And again, Planning Commission does recommend approval. That's their comments are on page 3. And with site plan review for staff to go over the civil engineering plans, photometric plan, and made the comment that all signage is separate sign permits and nothing is being approved with this for signage. That does conclude staff's comments. Staff can answer questions, and also the applicant.
Could you go back to the new rendering of the east-facing building, or the part of the building that faces east?
The back side?
Yeah, the back side.
South.
Bluff Street.
Yeah.
This is the rendering of that.
It really hasn't changed from what was presented to the Planning Commission, except for that wainscoting on the bottom that I can see.
Wainscot.
Yeah, wainscot.
I was out of the office at that meeting, and I don't know if these columns were shown at that time.
Well, there's originally, it looks like to me, there's 6 columns shown on there anyway, on the old rendering. I have a question on signage, and I know we're not talking about that, but when those are used, I know, can signage be put on that side of the building?
It'll have to follow sign ordinance, so much square footage of sign for so much face
To
of the
me,
building.
if it had nice-looking signage, it would be a little more acceptable.
Okay.
That's pretty plain for the entrance to our city. And I don't think the new rendering has really changed much except that bottom part. and I'm having a little struggle with that. So,
Well, I understand it'll be up to the council to talk with the applicant and see if you want them to proceed as they're asking to do, or if you want them to come back and show changes. Or present to staff any changes that you recommend.
It's tricky, you know, I mean,
it's tricky.
Major, you know, corridor entrance of the city. You think about what we look at from I-15, for example, near exit 8, you know, along there, and north of exit 8 a little bit, northeast a little, in terms of the outlets and so forth. It's tricky. It isn't, because you know you're not going to approach it from that side. You can't, and yet, so you got to have a back side, you know.
yeah, but if you go out to Zion, whatever they are out there, Zion Shops, the back of those buildings are terrible, but nobody sees them.
That's right. In this case, you can't, you know, you got to we're either asking them to have 2 front doors, kind of, you know, or at least front sides, and it's just tricky.
Across from the factory stores, you know, where you've got those restaurants and that strip mall where Old Navy
Right.
used to be.
Right.
You've just got a plain building on the freeway with signs, because what else really could you do right there? That's
what I'm
where you're
saying.
talking
Yep,
about.
Yep. Yeah, that's exactly right.
How much do you think of this could be mitigated with screening and landscaping?
Landscaping.
How far would that go, do you think?
Well, how tall is the building?
What was it?
I think it was 29.
29 feet?
30 feet high.
I mean, you know, you're eventually going to get trees that are going to help with that. You know, we were talking earlier about another one, Cracker Barrel. You know, again, kind of interesting because they've had it face the freeway. And how do you feel about the backside of it that faces Convention Center Drive?
Right.
I guess part of the difference is people kind of drive to go down there.
Yeah.
People on Bus Street are just going to be going by it all the time.
Well, there's a lot of people going by on I-15, but they see the nice side. Yeah. Yeah.
Mayor, if I might point out that you'll probably want to discuss too, you got the backside of the building here that you're talking about. Then you'll have the city's trail, then an area here that's landscaped, and then Bluff Street, so it's not right on Bluff Street.
Will help a little bit. You know, it makes me think too of over at Tonquin area, Tonquin Center. You know, can you think about all that the borders Dixie Drive, and again backside, which was supposed to be a cool concept, but I don't know. It's you're looking at the backside. So, you know. Well, you will get some signage, most likely, but yeah.
And I think a lot of it can be mitigated with some a nice landscaping plan.
How much is going to be theirs versus ours, though?
Yeah.
I don't know. Steve can maybe talk about that.
It's just been an ugly lot for many moons.
And that's a good point, Michelle. I mean, it's nice to see someone doing something.
Ray, on the good side, it's so close to Black Ridge, there's no soil concerns in that east side, right?
Just for the record, I'm Steve Jennings.
Thanks, Steve.
Yeah. Constructors, the developer of the project, and the owner, representative, I guess. So I think the mayor hit it right on the head. The challenge that we have with this building is you have to have a rear service drive for the tenants. And you can't have 2 front doors, if you will, because the tenants have got to have a back room and a back service, and they don't like glass for security issues, et cetera, et cetera. That being said, we want you to know that we're very sensitive to that being the gateway of the city. We're sensitive to that issue. I want you to know that this is, as far as commercial real estate is considered in St. George, this is probably the highest rent district, if you will, that I've seen to
Pretty
this day
prime, yeah.
in the city, and hopefully the projects we've done prior speak for themselves. And you know, we've got some similar issues at our Sunset Corner project where we've got some rear-facing buildings with entrance streets coming between them, and so we are sensitive to that. We do have a strict signage policy. We don't allow any flat box signage. In fact, we're more restrictive than the city is, frankly, on our signage policy. We encourage raceways. We encourage pan-channel letters, individual lit signage, individual letters. And so we are pretty picky about that.
nice.
The type of tenant that will be occupying that particular building, like I said, is a higher rent paying tenant. We've been talking to the staff, and there is a city trail there where there's currently a steel railing.
Right.
And we're actually getting ready to remove that tomorrow morning. And we're going to pour a decorative retaining wall across that and reattach the railing to the top of that. And there's a landscaping strip out there. And since it was discussed, I might just ask for council support in maybe replacing some of those trees that are dead along that corridor.
No, we got to leave the dead trees.
Help dress that up. And I think that'll go a long way in doing that. We did, after the planning commission, we did add that masonry skirt to the back of the building. That's split-faced colored masonry that we feel like will make a big difference. And we talked about adding the vertical columns, but we felt like the split face would make it the bigger difference. Whereas there's not really a corner or differentiation there to put a column and make it work architecturally, because there's just nothing there that it would be holding up per se. And we also raised that parapet, Joe, just a little bit to shield the air conditioning units and create less of a visual effect there. And just keep in mind that there is a grade separation there, so the street is actually a little higher than so Bluff Street is a little higher than the finished elevation, floor elevation of the building. And so we feel like that'll be well dressed up, if you will, with the landscaping elements, the trail, signage, and obviously the signage would help break that up tremendously along that wall. So you'll probably see 6 pan-channel nice lit signs on the back of that building. And I tell you what those signs are going to say, but
You can't yet.
I can't yet.
You'd have to,
No.
well, we won't get into that.
So that being the backside,
Kill us.
We're getting close, though. We'll be making some announcements soon.
that being the backside that's on facing Bluff, are there any issues with the trail access or being on that trail to access your commercial properties from the trail?
There won't be access
There won't
unless
be
you go
any
all the way
access
around to the
after
two
all-
corners. Yeah.
Other questions or comments?
Is there somewhere that we could get that we would know where there was an oyster-colored building that we could kind of get a concept of what this is going to look like? Because I don't think those issues with the back of the building would be that big of a deal if you weren't in your mind thinking of this color of building. Which it's hard to imagine a big plain. Not that it's gonna stop me from saying I'm good with it, but
It's
if
going to
your
have
place. But
I mean, it's going to have a modern flair similar to perhaps the new Starbucks and AT&T building, perhaps on the corner of 3850.
Would you
Out by
ever have,
Costco and the I-15 interchange out there? There's, I don't know. It's kind of a modern flair. It's kind of a I mean, an oyster color. It's kind of a off-white. And the vertical siding will have kind of a gray aluminum type texture, and the horizontal is actually a darker black, which is a small piece of that, with those steel awnings, if you will, with actually a canvas material in the middle of them to kind of dress those up. So I think you'll find it'll be an attractive building once we get it done. We are very sensitive to that. We want you to know that this is a Class A shopping center. It's not a low rent district by any means.
See, in my mind, Steve, though, the changes that you made on the back of that building are not what people are going to see anyway.
Right.
You know, they're going to see the top 20 feet of it or whatever.
They're going to see the sign, and that's
Yeah.
what they really care about.
Yeah. I don't have a problem with the signs, but I don't know how that all fits in with our ordinance, and we won't know till we have to go to the sign. I just think that's, unlike Jimmy, that's a whole bunch of blank on there.
But look what's there now. A whole bunch of ugly dirt.
Dude, that is sexy dirt.
We are very excited about just.
And I was offended that you want to add more to the back end because most women don't.
And could I get in trouble here right now?
Probably.
Most women aren't looking around when they drive anyway.
Oh, my goodness.
Steve, can you elaborate a little bit for the folks listening at home and in the audience here? You mentioned a shopping center. Can you tell us a little bit more of the type of shops and what's going to be there? Just
No?
We've got I can tell you, we have a national credit fast food user that will be on the hard corner north of this building. And then we have a national credit pizza restaurant that will be on the north end cap of this particular building. We have a cell phone service provider, a national credit Subway sandwich restaurant that will be in that building, and several other complementary type tenants that will kind of fit in that mix. We also have another national credit restaurant, well-known name, that is looking at the pad just north of the roundabout, just north of the Crystal Inn there. And we're within a few weeks of making some announcements. So, perfect.
real asset to the community.
Yeah, I mean, it is nice to see it, and I know they've been working on this. There have been a few, complex issues on this site for a long time, and glad to see it,
And the other comment I might
going
make
on.
is this building here, building 400. We're in the design phase on that. We should be submitting that for the same type of review process within the next coming month, probably, to go through the same process. That's a 20,000 square foot, 2-story Class A office / retail building.
But in that case, you could have windows on the back.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. And that.
There's the road,
Right.
Any other comments or questions for the applicant, for Steve?
Betty, I know that you're into the colors. You're always mentioning the colors of the buildings in the city and so forth. I didn't hear anything about your feeling on colors.
Depends on where it is. This is fine with me. I like white and black, beige. That's a little different than sandstone.
Yeah, not everything has to be the same, right? So it is it's fresh.
Yeah.
I guess we've kind of been known, I guess, to have a little added color to our buildings. We try not to be the brown stucco and stone wonders of the world.
Yeah.
And you have done a nice job elsewhere with landscaping, and so, that's a good point, too. And signage. All right. Well, thank you, Steve. Anything else you wanted to say?
Nope.
I think we're good.
We're just excited to get this thing rolling, so
Okay.
thank you.
Council, if you're ready, I'd entertain a motion.
I'm going to make a motion to approve the building design conceptual site plan to allow development of commercial building number 300 in the Commercial Point Commercial Subdivision located at the intersection of Black Ridge Drive and Bluff Street.
Second.
Motion by Michelle, second by Betty, as presented to us, right?
Yes.
Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you, Steve. Look forward to seeing what's next and the announcements. We'll be watching. Okay, thank you. Number 7.
Okay, item 7 is a request to approve a preliminary plat for a 10-lot residential subdivision to be known as Crimson Hollow. Location is west of 3000 East and north of 1450 South. Applicant is Premier Design. Zoning is R112. General plan is low-density residential. So let's see. So this is where the site is. Here's 3000 East, 1450 South. The area right here in the corner is that PO, I think it's commercial or PO right through there, that would be left open here. So it'd be for these 10 lots right here. It will be required to provide a decel lane come off of 3000 into this road. Excuse me. And they'll also have to do a 10-foot landscape strip and privacy wall along here. They're requesting as with the other developments to the north, that the city continue to maintain that landscape strip. So they'll have to get water, if that's the case, from Royal Pines, which is up here, and bring it down to here for irrigation. They do have a ditch that runs along here. It's an open ditch, and they'll have to pipe that through here and provide an easement and work with the canal company for that ditch. And then the only other thing is this lot 1 will decrease a little in size as we're working with the applicant to better align that road right here with that driveway, and so it'll come a little bit higher up into lot 1.
Questions on this, council? Preliminary plat. Entertain a motion.
Motion to approve the preliminary plat for Crimson Hollow.
Second.
Motion by Jimmy with a second by Michelle. Any discussion? Sean?
So that would include the conditions, especially the one with the canal company, because we need to make sure that they get a wide enough easement that will satisfy the canal company. We've had a
Jimmy?
problem in the past with it being too narrow for them to go maintain a pipe, should there be a problem.
Jimmy and Michelle, you comfortable just adding that for
Yes.
clarification?
Yes.
Okay, so if the minutes could reflect that that would include a, did you say cross?
It would be an easement.
Easement.
That the canal company would agree to.
Okay. All right. Any other discussion?
We're going to have a signal light there pretty close, huh?
Yes. Very soon. Yeah. Were they missing one arm, or did they get that up today?
I think it's up.
Good. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Okay, item, let's see, 9, I believe it is. Yeah. Item 9 is a request for approval of preliminary plat for a 4-lot commercial subdivision to be known as Ventana Ridge. Location is east of River Road, south of 2450 South. Applicant is Alpha Engineering. Zoning is PDC. General plan is commercial. So this is the location of the preliminary plat. This came before you recently, and we did a minor subdivision, a 4-lot minor subdivision. As we got looking into it, we felt like the applicant needed to come back and actually go through the plat process so these are the 4 lots, 1, 2, 3, 4. But as they will be sharing access from 2450 and River Road, and parking will not be shared, but you can have cross parking. We felt like this should come back because there were enough of those issues, and this kind of functions more of a small commercial subdivision, that they needed to come back and go through the platting process so that access and parking and some easements could be dealt with and treated instead of as individual lots. So that's why the next item you'll see is the final plat, is we're working with the applicant. Since they've already gone through the minor subdivision, we felt if they'd come back and plat it, we'd work with them on that.
Council, you're aware of this one. Do you have any questions? You remember at first this was all going to be commercial, and due to lots of residents' concerns, they made a bunch of it residential and left this much commercial.
Yeah, the developer really responded to the concerns of the community surrounding that and reduced the size. That was quite meaningful.
Any concerns or questions? Okay, ready for a motion.
Motion to approve the preliminary plat for Ventana Ridge Commercial.
Motion by Michelle, second by Joe. Any discussion? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. And now the final plat.
Yeah, so item 10 would be a request to consider approval of a 4-lot commercial final subdivision plat. Again, it's called Ventana Ridge Commercial, represented as Alpha Engineering. And the only conditions would be that they provide cross access for each lot from River Road and 2450 South, and then cross parking in the development itself.
Questions? Same place, final plat.
Yep.
Ready for a motion.
Move to approve the final plat.
Second.
Motion by Betty with a second by Ed. Any discussion on that motion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Okay, the last item is a request to consider approval of an amended residential subdivision final plat called the Villas at Sun River St. George Phase 3 amended. Representative is Rosenberg Associates. Property is located at 1230 and 1216 Wickham Drive, as well as 1185 and 1173 Wickham Drive in the Sun River development. Zone is PDR. And the purpose of this final plat is to amend the lot lines between 45 and 46 and 53 and 54 right there. And just to adjust those lot lines, one lot getting a little larger and one lot decreasing in size.
Any questions or concerns on this one, council?
Mayor, move to approve an amended final subdivision plat for the villas at Sun River, Phase 3.
Second.
Motion by Betty with the second by Jimmy. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. I don't have any appointments to make at this time. Any reports? Just noting that we will need at least a brief closed meeting. So any reports before we do that?
Just that we have a art festival going on, and at 10 a.m. we're going to make our choices, which is really fun and special. And yes, that's all.
And that's Friday. Let's see. I think it opens. Is it open at 9 or 10? And we're going to be there. Those of us that can at 10-ish.
Well, you ordered the weather for that? Boy, just perfect timing.
Should be beautiful.
Huh? Yeah.
Can everyone be there? You're meeting at the Washington County School District boardroom.
I'll be there.
I can.
Maybe not right exactly.
It's okay.
Tomorrow?
Okay. This is tomorrow.
It's
Everyone
really
okay?
fun. You'll want to do it.
I'm going to be other places, so Christy's going to help me
Okay.
and send me pictures, and so Gary knows that. If you have any concerns, or just track down Gary Sanders. If you don't have his cell phone, we can give it to you. Should we announce it? No.
I think yeah, no, don't do that. I just need to say how great the electric sign looks on our electric theater.
Isn't that great?
I just love it. And
I've had a lot of good comments on it.
And next week, there'll be some performances by the St. George Dance Theater.
Aren't there some this weekend by somebody?
I thought they were, but
Isn't that Sherilyn?
yeah, it's the same.
It's Friday and Saturday. I was thinking it was this weekend.
Well, I was too, so check on it. But,
Yeah.
but I ran into Rebecca Wainwright, but that will be really fun in the electric theater.
Yeah.
So that's fun.
It's starting to be, I think, used more, I would say. So that's good. Anything else?
And just love all the sculpture.
Yeah. Love the ones, have you seen the ones out front here and the ones inside, upstairs and downstairs?
Yeah.
And, yeah. Anyway, have fun seeing all the new art. Jimmy, we had our
Yep.
MPO.
Yeah, you can report on that. I'll just say we had a great Friends of Switch Point fundraising breakfast.
Yeah. Tell
So,
us a little more publicly.
Thank you to those that came. 438,000, I believe, was the number. We were trying to get 100,000.
That's
and we
incredible.
hit 438,000. We had some very generous donors who offered to match
Mm-hmm.
any donation, no limit, for new first-time donors. And that, so part of that was them. Don't ask me to say their name. You'll have to ask Shirlane because she knows it. It's a little difficult to say.
Stein or something at the end.
Yeah. It was awesome. Good food, good fun, some great stories.
And it was an hour, maybe an hour
Yeah.
and 5 minutes. It
Yeah,
was
we started a little
great.
late. It was great
Yep.
music being played.
Yeah.
And some of those success stories of how they've helped individuals are just really heartwarming and
Moving along,
really-
people getting out and getting going in life again that
Yep.
fell on some hard times. So St. George Housing Authority, we've met as well. Things are going well there. Always just a big line of people needing some assistance, but we're doing what we can.
Don't have all the places or the vouchers that we could use. but-
Right. There's always a waiting list, and anytime we purge it and start it over, there's always a line of people out the door. So, and that's a good program too. That's not just free rent. It's based on their income. It's assistance, and they still have to do their part. We did have, for the first time ever, we had to finally boot someone who was making more money than they reported. And so when we do find that, then we have to move them along. So it hasn't happened since I've been there, but we did have it happen. So
That's good news,
yep,
Ken.
yep. So
The MPO or DTEC, we met Wednesday, and nothing too significant to report other than just, one thing that was presented was a let's see, Kim Gardner report on our growth and projected growth, and they show it
Like
pretty high.
What was
like-
it, 220,000?
That that's really what our area
Yeah.
is, right? That
That they're estimating based on visitors and
Yeah.
population and second homes on
yeah,
a given
second
day.
home visitors, that
Yeah.
really were functioning as if we're 220,000. I've got it. Jimmy's got a copy of it if you want to see it. That's probably the main
That was
news
the highlight,
there.
yeah.
I don't have anything else. Michelle doesn't have anything. Joe? Ed?
The Hillside Board met on the 17th, Mayor, and some residential development on 950 West Street and 750 North, and the Hillside Board members had some expression of concerns on future ordinances, and they've been discussed with the staff, and I'm sure that they'll be passing them on to you and the city manager.
Very good. Be interested, we can talk more about that. Just maybe quick, you've noticed, the project for the tunnel, if you will, under I-15 progressing and, doing it half at a time, obviously. And they're hoping to have that done in time for school to start. I don't know if they'll quite make it. I think they're doing the bottom half, yeah. And then, they'll do the top.
Can you imagine the scooters going through there?
And that's the other thing I wanted to mention, because there will be scooters going through there. I think they're about to 350 scooters now. They're just kind of ramping it up, pardon the pun. And they're, obviously it's well received. They're, one of the things that Sean will be coming back to us soon, I think, is now that we have a little experience with it, about a month, what we did was we approved an agreement with Spin and Zagster, but really now we need to kind of get into an ordinance that deals with the specifics of how and where. And so, we're learning some things. Some of that we kind of had to do it, we thought, that way. So we'll be talking about that. And you should know that there are some, adjustments being recommended and made here and there in terms of where we have the scooters, staged in the mornings and where we don't, or how many, and some where they can actually change how fast they can go for certain areas, like downtown, Sean, as I recall, toning it down to 12 miles an hour instead of 15 or 16. Lower, yeah. So, and we're watching that, and so as you hear things or as you get concerns or complaints, let us know. We can use that as part of the process. Spin and Zagster, that kind of do this together, have been very responsive, I would say. There are a couple questions that we have for them, and especially in terms of the ages of the people that are really and truly able to use them. There's a little bit
Some
of
of these kids I've seen on them, I'm like, they are old enough, they have a smartphone?
yeah, there's no way.
'Cause-
There seems to be some confusion on it. They're supposed to be, their policy is 18. I don't know about you. I know everyone's looking younger all the time, but I know there's some that are under 18. And so then there was some something saying, well, if you're being supervised by a parent or, an adult, you could be younger. Well, we just need to clarify what is it and what are we comfortable with, and that could be part of our ordinance. Because, we may want to specify and then be able to enforce, right, Deputy Chief? If we know, for example, they've at least got to have a driver's license or something, or I don't know. On the other hand, we want to make sure it is fun and people are having fun. We want to let them have fun. We just also want to be safe. And we know there are going to be accidents. The first serious one is going to be really tough. We're going to all hear about it, and we're going to be concerned about that individual or individuals. And so we're going to do the very best we can, I think, to cover those most concerning things in the ordinance.
I've only heard about one minor injury, but the college kids love it.
They do, and they're using them.
And we do need to continually let the public know that the city didn't go out and buy hundreds and hundreds of...
We didn't. In fact, their deal is they have to pay us.
Right.
And that's not quite the same with the bike share, but we're not paying for that either.
Right.
Sponsors are. So that's a good point, and I do think we
Yeah,
ought to highlight that.
It's a nice thing, but it's, we're not frivolously
Nope.
taking the taxpayer dollars to provide
Yep.
recreation like
They
that.
came to us. In fact, they wanted to. Adam pointed this out the other day in a meeting we were in. They were just going to drop them on us. It was like Wednesday, and they said Friday we're dropping them off. And that was two different companies. And Adam and others, Sean, Mark, said, time out. Let us deal with this and try to address it. And that's what we've done, and that's what we'll continue to do. And we'll get into a specific ordinance soon.
I've been waiting for Joe to ride one of those before I jumped on it.
Well, you better get on it now, because I'm not ready. As we talk about the ordinance on that, though, let's not make it so that it's, I can see a enforcement challenge.
We'll need to
A big
consider that.
challenge.
Yep, we'll need to consider that for sure, Joe. You're right. So, yeah, we don't want to make it harder for law enforcement to deal with, so. Okay, anything else in terms of reports? I'd entertain a motion, if you're so inclined, to go into a closed session for property acquisition and sale.
Second.
Motion by Joe, a second by Michelle. Any discussion? All in favor, starting with Ed, say aye.
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 Motion carries. We'll have a quick break on the way.